Hello, dear friends. This is Wisdom for the Spiritist Practitioner, Day 12. This is a study based on the book Educandário de Luz, Educational Institute of Light by several spirits through the medium Chico Xavier. And today we're going to study chapter on Christ Consciousness by Emmanuel. Yes, the Spirit Emmanuel, the Spirit mentor of Chico Xavier. And we are here with you live at Cardiac Radio, both on Facebook Live and the app. If you're listening to this on demand or watching on Facebook, you can also send your questions or comments because it's still interactive. And this information is never old, is never outdated. These are immortal lessons that can be studied from today to immortality. Immortality, yes, immortality. What a joy to know that life never ends. Life goes on and we're constantly progressing. It's wonderful, isn't it? Yes, it is. So today we're going to study a new message. Every single message is really deep. This is a study session for Spiritist practitioners mostly. Okay? Spiritist practitioners need instructions. Who said it? The spirits themselves. The Spirit of Truth in the Gospel according to Spiritism saying, Spiritists, love one another. And that's the first commandment. The second, instruct yourselves. Without instruction, we don't go far. It's vital. Some people become mediums and they're like, I don't need to read any book. I know what it is, just about heart and the feeling. We don't think so. We don't think so. We really need to study, reflect, and what's the secret? Feel it. Oh yeah, because it's a wonderful world. Yes, it's a wonderful world. These are the good news, and the title of our message tonight is Christ Consciousness. This is how we have translated it. In Portuguese, it talks about evangelização. For us in English, it's about the awareness of Christ teaching. So Christ consciousness. Shall we? Yes, we shall. So here we have Carol and Mark Smith with us on the app, with Lea Severo. Thank you so much, friends, for double checking. Leonor Pacheco, Rihanna, Nico, thank you, friends. Katia, how are you? Rudy, present, very present, making this present pleasant. Livia Moraes and Julija, beautiful Julija, how are you? Sunshine, how are you? Hipólito, thank you, Hipólito. As Virginia says, huggy, huggy, huggy. Huggy to you too. Amanda Andrade, hello, friends. And I'm going to share here because I kind of cannot forget to share with friends from afar. I'm going to read the message and then we will break it down. You know, when we read the message first, it sounds, oh yeah, I got it. When we start paying attention to the words he used, the in between the lines and the true meaning of it all, we get much more. It's like squeezing lemons. It's like, oh, a tiny lemon, and then you drink that lemon, you alkalinize your body, you're super healthy. If you don't do it, you don't get to the essence. So that's why we need to study. It's like lemons. Okay, I got it. No. Squeeze it, make lemonade, drink it, no sugar in it, okay? And then the body is grateful for it. So our spiritual body and ourselves are going to be so grateful to this message. Right, Michele Silva? Let's go. Christ consciousness, Emmanuel, through Chico Xavier. All scholars who request from Friends of the Beyond a guidebook should not forget the Gospel of Jesus, the roadmap of souls in which each heart should drink the divine teaching for the evolutionary march. I'm going to read it all, so hold on, and we go on. Usually, it is invoked the oldness of its letter and the repetition of its statements. The spirit of the gospel of Christ, however, is always the light of life. Certain companions seek to justify the weariness of the formulas, claiming that in Spiritism we have definitive works of revelation with the flavor of precious novelty in matters of general enlightenment and educational endeavor. The gospel, however, is like a sun of spirituality. All these remarkable works of human missionaries in their tasks of interpretation work like telescopes, clarifying the greatness of the gospel. It is that the light of the gospel is directed to the inner atmosphere of the individual, intensifying itself in the climate of goodwill and love, sincerity and simplicity. The mission of Spiritism is that of the codifier, of the consoler, who will remain among human beings of balanced feelings and reason, propelling the mindset of the world to a higher sphere, coming to the aid of the spiritual personality who suffers in modern times the painful disharmonies of the physical being on the planet. The promised consoler establishes the renewal of the individual's innermost values, and it cannot perform its sacred task on the hypothesis that its workers abandon the effort in order to operate the readjustment of the moral energies of each individual. The intellectual capacity of individuals is restricted to their sensory apparatuses. Yet, the illumination of our intuitive world leads us to the highest planes of aspiration, of inspiration, where intelligence is prepared in the face of the generous accomplishments which it is incumbent upon to achieve in the immense spiritual future. Still and always, the great need is that of the inner Christ consciousness, so that all the workers of the cause of the truth and of light know the way of their regenerative activities, learning that every collective work of brotherhood in human redemption does not take place without legitimate cooperation. Such basis relies on sincere enlightenment, but it also does rely on self-denial, in which the disciple knows how to yield tolerate, and aid in a timely manner. For the generality of this moral orientation, it is indispensable that all centers of doctrinal study be enlightened by the gospel in Spiritism, so that the general mindset applies it to the struggle of edification itself, without myths and temporal support of external forces. As Jesus summoned all those who weep with, "Come to me, you who suffer," to his magnanimous heart, Jesus also affirmed, "Take up your cross and follow me," clarifying the need for edifying experiences in the circles of individuality. In short, we're compelled to conclude that in Spiritism, it's not enough to believe. We must renew ourselves. It's not enough to learn the philosophies and sciences of the world, but we need to feel and to apply with the Christ. To apply it with the Christ. Woo! Breathe in and out, because Jesus is asking us to feel it. It's not enough to know. It's not enough to believe, Emmanuel is saying. We need to renew ourselves, and we can only renew ourselves when we feel it. Right, Karina, Alice, and Cacilda, Lisa Teles, Teresa Castro. So friends, it's vital, vital, vital that we meditate on certain components, all the message. But in each paragraph, we have here 7 paragraphs in this message. And on the first paragraph, we find the word guidebook, and he correlates it with the teachings of the Christ. Guide and model. You see how Emmanuel reinforces the foundational teachings of Kardec? He's never going away with it. He's actually always reinforcing, bringing it time and again so we don't forget, revisiting it. So for you and I, it's time to look at the model, follow through. If I take the first and the last paragraph, he says, he begins talking about the Christ, he ends talking about it. And he repeats, it's not enough to know, we need to renew ourselves. We need to apply it with the Christ. We need to change our lives. But Vanessa, I don't want to change. The hurricane is coming. No kidding, huh? No kidding. The hurricane again is coming. We're being asked to revisit our values. It's a must. This reincarnation is the most precious. We need to adjust our lives. Therapeutic question for us. How much are we daily looking at the teacher? You know, when you go to the gym, and I constantly repeat it, or to the school, the good student focus on the teacher. The person who wants to change their physical disposition and goes to the gym, they focus on the teacher, the personal trainer. We have a personal trainer and it's free. You don't pay a cent for it, a penny, nothing. We don't pay for it. We get it free of charge, and we get more than we can ever imagine. Jesus Christ is our guide and model. How about every day sending a WhatsApp to Jesus saying, WhatsApp? No, don't say that. But let's send him a message saying, I'm ready for you. Please help me customize my life. I need once and for all to change my feelings, to change myself. And you know, one of the things that we repeat is mistakes of the past. So easy. We're in a period of transition on the earth in which we're going through the ultimate tests in our lives. Are we repeating the same old conditionings, or are we learning the new? How do I know when I'm learning the new? When it's new, it takes a lot of effort. That's one thing, the thermometer. Am I in a new pathway? If you are in a new pathway, if I am in a new pathway, we need to work harder. And it's not going to work every day. In the inside of us, when we feel we are not in the comfort zone regarding our relationships with ourselves and others. If we're doing the same old, it's easy, it feels comfortable. We're not aware. But when we feel the discomfort, we're in a different direction. Emmanuel then says the gospel of Christ is always light of life. Though many people think, oh yeah, I know, Vanessa, I know. It's forgive and love the enemies and blah, blah, blah. I know, but that bar's too high. Well. The gospel is like the sun of spirituality. It's inevitable. I remember one day I was meeting people who were spiritual but not spiritists. And they told me, don't tell me about Christ and Jesus. My family was Christian and they were really repressive. They were really demanding. And then Good news for the spirit who is mature. What my family has done, God bless them. I need to make a choice myself. Because your family didn't know how to use the gospel wisely, you're going to trash it out? Doesn't make any sense. We need to know, who is this Christ? Maybe the Christ that you know, Jesus Christ, is not the one that your mom knows, that your dad knows, and we need to grow more mature and stop these blaming games. Grow mature and say, I am an adult. I need to verify for myself. Oh, but my mom and my dad, my grandmother, my grandfather. No. Some people ask me, oh, Vanessa, was it easier for you to be a spiritist because of your mom and your dad? I don't think it is easier because of that. It was easier because we wanted to follow through. It's not a given. Our children are not going to embrace it just because we embrace it. And hopefully they are going to embrace it if and only if they feel the scripture. So bless your mother and father and say, this is them, this is me. Before God, I am an individual. Spiritism changes even the way we feel about our parents. We become less enslaving of the parents, because there are many children who enslave the parents. There are many children who demand constantly of the parents. There is a moment in our lives in which we grow mature and we say, you know what? They did the best they could. The question is, what is my best? I need to verify for myself. No excuses. And then on the third paragraph, Emmanuel says, the mission of Spiritism is that of the consoler. Yes, Spiritism is this consolation that was promised by Jesus. when we're balancing feeling and reasoning, we're balancing feeling and reasoning right on the Rosa. We were just there, the Spirit side of Virginia, talking about it, right? And Tanya Stewart, Greg Stewart, big hug to you, friends. Annie Mercia, how are you? Nina. So we really need, friends, to embrace these teachings, looking at our parents, our children, our friends, equality, love equality. We should all feel. My father today, I honor him. My mother. But above this, we are children of God. Why am I expecting from them a perfection that I don't have? And we need to teach this to our children. Yes, mom and dad are here to help you. But you also need to do your part. Early. They say something. And I say to them, or to our child, Virginia, would you like that I say that to you? No. So why are you saying that to mommy? We need to learn from an early age this two-way road. Equality. We're parents, but we're not slaves. Children, we need to look at our parents and bless them, honor them, say thank you. Of course I forgive you, because I also don't know better, and I'm still making mistakes. And he says this is what Spiritism provides to us, this balance of heart, reasoning. Neuroscientifically, it's all here. Spiritist-wise, it's all in the mental field. The spirit thinks and everything reflects and manifests. We need to feel. Spiritism is not for those who are just reasoning. There is a long history of people in Spiritism. You know, since my great-grandfather, one day I will show you the bylaws when they made it official in 1917, 1918, 100 years ago. It says there, because at that time there was a division in Brazil in the Spiritist movement of the scientific Spiritism and the other non-scientific part of it. Which is ridiculous. And we're not judging, but we're just saying there's no division. And nowadays, because of the progress of science, there are people who want to prove to us that if people come by science and through science, they are going to come faster, which doesn't make any sense. They even want to prove that in America and in Europe, people are going to believe more the Spiritist teachings when we talk science. Okay, let me say something to you psychologically. If you make a test, pinch an American, pinch a Brazilian, pinch an Australian, pinch somebody from South Africa, you guys tell me. Somebody from Colombia, from Puerto Rico, God bless Puerto Rico. China, do you think it's gonna hurt less because we are Americans? No. I remember Raul Teixeira. When we started the Spiritist teachings in English, it was in 2001. In 2002, he was visiting us in Baltimore. And he came to me, and there was a big taboo, still is, people discussing, should we do in Portuguese, in English, in Spanish, blah, blah, blah. We should do in the language of the country, respecting the country. But I remember how Teixeira coming to me and saying, Vanessa, I dreamt that I was traveling in the older times in the United States. And I was visiting a home in southern East Coast, like North Carolina, in the Civil War time. And Raul Teixeira said, when I was there, I saw this woman crying. And I came to ask her, why are you crying? Because she had her son, who just came back from the Civil War and was dead. So Raul Teixeira looked at me and Daniel and others in Baltimore. He said, Dad taught me a lesson, that there is a human being deep in the core of everybody, irrespective of their nationality. That's why the promised consoler is the promise of the Christ. Because on this planet, what we need the most is consolation. Because we are not ready to handle the truth of life. If we could know all of our lives, we would be devastated. If we could have access to what's happening in this world, in both realms, if we could see mediumistically with these eyes, we would not be able to handle it without going mad. And that's why we need consolation, and science does not console us. No, no. I am a neuroscientist and I tell you, that's not the goal of science. Even the sciences of sciences, the sciences of the psychology, they are not here to console anything. They are here to investigate the mechanisms. They are not here to promote consolation. Of course, by knowing the truth we can console, but only Spiritism can break it down for us. That's why he's saying the mission of Spiritism. So people are still trying to break it apart. People who are scientists, spiritists, and people who are spiritists, and they are what? They're spiritists. I prefer not to create this division, because Jesus never did, never will. Chico Xavier never did, never will, and nobody else who is wise enough would do that. We create no division. We're just one. Spiritists. There's no spiritist. Spiritist psychologist, spiritist physician. Yes, you can be, but we're no different. Our foundation is the same. The mission is only one, to console. The mission of Spiritism is the mission of the promised consoler, to balance reason and sentiment, says Emmanuel, propelling the mindset of ourselves to connect to higher spheres. And he says, the illumination of our intuitive world leads us to the highest planes. And there are still spiritists who are believing that if we become more intellectualized, we're going to be more spiritists, better spiritists. It doesn't make any sense. Instruction is one thing. The other thing is to be intellectualized, in the sense of the cold, no feeling. No, we need to feel, we need to open our hearts. That's the promise. If I have a PhD, don't have a PhD, doesn't matter. Somebody who has a PhD doesn't have a PhD, it doesn't matter. What is important for us is to feel the scriptures. And he says, the great need, let us listen, have ears to hear, Emmanuel saying to us Spiritist practitioners, the great need still and always will be the inner Christ consciousness. Push that button. I allow the Christ within to blossom. Let's do this affirmation, friends. Reprogramming our minds, our hearts. I allow the Christ conscious to blossom inside of me. I allow the inner Christ to blossom inside of me. We need to give that willing step. Nobody's going to do it. I need to be willing. Right? Auri Alves, Angelita and Adilson. You know, today Dr. Andrew Moreira announced that if you are in the United States and you want to volunteer, help with the Fraternity Without Borders, etc., contact Angelita. She's here with us. Her name is there. Contact her because there is always room for more hearts. Right, Angelita? So, all the workers of the cause of truth and of light know the way of their regenerative activities. He says, inner enlightenment, sincere enlightenment. Forgive me for the strength here, but he's saying sincere enlightenment. The basis is sincere enlightenment. What does he mean by sincere enlightenment? Is there an enlightenment that is not sincere? No, but why is he using that word sincere? To make sure that we put consciousness into our action. There are people whom I know, they're waiting to be enlightened. One day, my light is... Remember Brother Jacob in the book? I came back. We've done the study here. He was a Spiritist, and he thought his light was just going to show up like that. He was in the spiritual realm, and he realized, oh, where's my light? Where's my light? He had to work hard. Hard on his ego to let the layers of his ego dissolve and allow his light to shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. To let it shine, we need to make an effort. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. We need to let it shine. It takes effort. It takes effort, repetition. You know, when your instinct tells you, I am going to do this, and you make an effort, breaks, and say, Jesus, I know this is the easy route, but I know it's not going to work. Can you help me, please? Breathe in and out, and you feel the involvement of your guardian angel, the higher spirits, creating a new path of response for us. We stop reacting, we start taking action, right? So that's precisely what we need to do, right, Marco Carvalho? Thank you, Renato Santos. Finally, he says, we need to go through self-denial. That's exactly what we're saying here. When you're going to go meet your family, and instead of saying, oh, but I'm not going to go visit that person. They never call me. Take the me put it aside. Did I call them? No. So now it's my turn. Now I need to go after them, call them. I need to see them, visit them. It's on us. Right, Maria Barbosa? He says self-denial, in which the disciple knows. Write it down because this is homework. For 24 hours, let's practice this. The disciple knows how to yield, compromise. Do you know how to compromise? When we are young, we're all about daring. No, if somebody comes says this, I'm going to say that. If they do this, I'm going to do that. When we become wiser, we stop reacting. We don't need to prove anything to anybody anymore. We actually yield, allow, compromise. Not compromising our values. But if somebody wants to say stuff that are not good, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be. But let's give our step of conciliation and tolerance. The disciple knows how to be tolerant. Tolerance is about respecting people's rights to be who they want to be. That's a concept of justice. And aid, support in a timely manner. I was gonna give the money to that person yesterday, but I was gonna give that code. I was gonna give them a call. I was gonna send them an email. It never happened. The disciple of the good news, the Christ-conscious disciple, says Emmanuel, knows how to yield, tolerate, and help in a timely manner. He finalizes by saying to us, it's in Spiritism, it's not enough to believe. We must renew ourselves. It's not enough to learn the philosophies and sciences of the world. You see what Emmanuel is saying? This blah, blah, blah about, oh, the day we talk about science and Spiritism, the world is going to believe. I don't think so, I don't think so, and I don't think so. We need to talk about it, but that's not the goal. Even André Luiz preface in the book Evolution into Worlds, he says, this book is not for those who are willing to study science or for scientists. He clear-cut says in the book Evolution into Worlds, this book is for those who want to be consoled. Who knows if one day here, the superior mentors of Kardec Reader are going to allow us to study Evolution into Worlds together. We've done these studies in 2012, and we have the whole set of slides, so maybe we're going to be allowed to do so. Let's wait and see. Right, Aiden? Right, Emma? But we need to feel and apply the Christ. It's so unfair when people say that Emmanuel was strict. In every message he's loving. Every message he talks about feeling the Christ. Feeling with the Christ. Applying with the Christ. Let's feel the good, seeking the good, visualizing the good, and molding the good with all the resources we have at hand. Friends, wherever you are, in the next 24 hours, as a disciple of the good news, let us practice yielding in our daily relationships. Let us practice tolerance. Let us practice timely help. Shall we? Yes, because at the end of the day, no matter what happens, it's a wonderful world. Yeah. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Mamãe. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, adorable spirits. And until tomorrow, with wisdom for the Spiritist Practitioner.